Hunter Hawk yanked the little girl out from under the hooves of the runaway team, a heartbeat before death claimed her. He crushed her against his chest, his hands shaking, and the whole of Sweetwater Junction watched from porches and doorways. Not one soul stepped down, not one hand lifted. A woman whispered, "Drifters always bring trouble." Hunter set the child on her feet, tipped his dust-caked hat to the woman who'd cursed him, and met every cold eye on that street. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and follow this story to the very end. And tell me in the comments what town you're watching from, so I can see how far this story has traveled. Easy, sissy. Easy now. Uncle Hunter, You're all right. You're all right. He went to one knee in front of her and took her thin shoulders between his calloused hands. Look at me. You hurt anywhere? No, sir. You sure? Yes, sir. Then you take your brother's hand and you don't let go of it. Not for nothing. You hear me? Yes, Uncle Hunter. The boy who'd been holding her hand, a breath before the team came through, stepped up beside her with the quiet that didn't belong on an 8-year-old's face. Cole Hawk. Freckled, sunburnt across the bridge of his nose, and a man already in places no child should be a man. I had her, Uncle. The horses spooked. Wasn't your fault, son. You did right. Hunter rose to his full height, slow, and only then did he see them. The whole of Sweetwater Junction. Doorways, porches, the mouth of the alley between the dry goods and the saloon. Watching like they'd just been served a play they hadn't paid for. Not one of them had moved for that child. Not one. He felt it then. The old anger. The thing he'd carried home from the war and never quite buried in any grave deep enough. He breathed it down. He breathed it down because Pearl and Bo were watching him from the wagon seat 6 years old, and 4, and they had learned already what fear looked like on a grown man's face. The woman in the starched bonnet leaned to her companion and said it plain enough that he could hear it. Drifters always bring trouble. Mark me. Trouble's already come. Look at the lot of 'em. Hunter tipped his hat to her. His mama had raised him to know that courtesy was the last thing a poor man could afford to lose, and so he kept it. Ma'am. She looked away. He turned a slow circle in the middle of that street, and he met every eye in it, one at a time. Some looked away. Some didn't. A heavy-set man stood on the porch of the saloon with a lit cigar between his teeth and a smile that didn't reach a single feature on his face. "Well, stranger," the man called, "you always make an entrance like that." "Didn't make an entrance, mister. Made a stop." "Sure looked like an entrance? Then you been watching too many." A laugh went up somewhere behind Hunter, short, sharp, the kind of laugh townsfolk give when they want a stranger to know they're laughing at him. The cigar man came down off the saloon steps. He moved like a man who'd been told too many times he was important and had started believing it. "Name's Silas Dunn. Folks here call me a friend of this town, and this town don't take kindly to runaway teams plowing through its main street." "Whose were they?" "Couldn't say." "Couldn't or won't?" "Couldn't. They come past us as we was riding in. Wasn't ours to know." Silas's eyes went over Hunter's shoulder. To the wagon. To the patched canvas. To Pearl and Bo on the seat. To the rifle laid across Hunter's saddle, well-oiled and within reach. "That all yours back there. Family." "Family?" "Yes, sir." "You their daddy." "Their uncle." "Where's their daddy?" Hunter let that one sit. He let it sit long enough that the cigar paused on its way back to Silas's mouth. "Gone." "Gone where?" "Just gone. Same as their mama." Silas made a soft sound halfway between a chuckle and a hum. "Sweetwater Junction's a workin' town, Mr. Hawk. Mr. Hawk. We don't keep beggars, we don't keep grifters, and we surely don't keep men who can't tell us straight where they been." "Didn't ask you to keep me." "What did you ask?" "Didn't ask." That got a silence deeper than the first one. And then, from across the street, a voice. A woman's voice. Steady, not loud, not afraid. "He didn't ask a thing of you, Mr. Dunn. So I'd thank you to step back from the man and let his children breathe." Hunter turned. She was crossing toward him with a folded apron in her hands and flour on the bridge of her nose, and her eyes were the color of river stone, and she did not break stride for Silas Dunn, or the staring crowd, or the team that had finally been caught at the far end of the street with men shouting and raining hard. She stopped in front of Sissy. She went down on one knee the way Hunter had, which surprised him, because grown women in starched aprons did not kneel in the dust of Main Street. "Are you hurt, sweet girl?" "No, ma'am." "That was a brave thing your uncle did." "Yes, ma'am." "What's your name?" "Sissy. Sissy Hawk." "Pretty name. I'm Lily Hart. I have a bakery just yonder, and I've got bread that's going stale if 4 hungry young'uns don't help me eat it. You reckon you could help me with that?" Sissy's eyes went to Hunter. Hunter's jaw worked. "Ma'am, I wasn't asking you, Mr. Hawk. I was asking her." "I can't pay?" "I didn't ask for pay. Ma'am, I won't." "Mister." She rose from the dust and faced him. She was a full head shorter than him and not 1 inch less his equal. "I've been running that bakery alone for 2 years. I know what charity feels like in the mouth. I'm not offering you charity. I'm offering 4 children bread. Now you can take it or leave it, but you'll do one or the other before that little girl falls down on me from the heat." Hunter looked at her. He looked at her a long time. Silas Dunn cleared his throat. "Miss Lily, you sure you want to be feeding strangers off your back step? Folks gonna talk." "Folks have been talking since the week I buried my husband, Mr. Dunn. They can keep at it. They're better at it than at most things." A snort from somewhere in the crowd. Silas's mouth went thin. "It's your business." "Yes, sir, it is." She turned her back on him. Square. Final. The kind of turning of a back that a man like Silas Dunn would remember and would not forgive. "Come on, children. Off this street." Sissy reached up. Lily took her hand. Cole looked to Hunter. Hunter gave him the smallest nod a man could give, and still call it a nod. "Go on, son. Help your sister." Cole went. Hunter stood there in that street a breath longer. Pearl and Bo watched him from the wagon seat, with the still patience of children who had learned to wait because waiting was what was left when there was nothing else. He went to them. He lifted Pearl down. He lifted Bo down. Bo wound his arms around Hunter's neck and pressed his face against his shoulder, and Hunter felt the boy's heartbeat against his collarbone and shut his eyes for 1 breath. 1. That was all he allowed himself. Then he opened them and walked his children across that street past the watchers, past Silas Dunn, past the bonneted woman who would not look at him, and followed the widow Hart to her shop. At the door, Lily looked back at him. "Mr. Hawk, Hunter Hawk." "Mr. Hawk." "Yes, ma'am." "You leave that rifle on the wagon." "Ma'am, You leave it on the wagon. There is no man coming through this door armed around 4 little ones, not even you." He didn't argue. He walked back. He sat the rifle in the wagon bed. He laid an oilcloth over it. He came back. She held the door for him. "Mind your boots." "Yes, ma'am." The bell above the door chimed when he stepped through. Sissy ate 3 slices of bread before Lily had finished cutting the 4th. Pearl ate slow picking at the crust the way she'd been taught back when there hadn't been bread enough to pick. Cole ate like a man who had decided to ration himself before the world did it for him. Bo fell asleep with bread still in his hand, his cheek pressed to the long pine table, and Hunter sat across from him and watched his nephew breathe and did not eat. "Mr. Hawk?" "Ma'am, you haven't touched a thing." "They eat first." "There's plenty." "They eat first, ma'am." She set a tin cup of buttermilk in front of him. She set a hunk of bread next to it. She did not argue. She sat down at the end of the table, folded her hands, and waited. He drank the buttermilk in one long swallow. He set the cup down with the gentleness of a man who had broken too many things in his life to break another. "Thank you, Miss Hart." "Lily." "Miss Lily." "Where you from, Mr. Hawk?" "Tennessee original, then most everywhere." "Where you headed?" "Wherever there's work." "And the children?" "Wherever I am." "They're folks." He held her eyes a moment. "My sister and her husband. Cholera last fall. Their daddy was gone before Bo was even born. War. And you took 'em on. They're mine. Just like that. Just like that. She nodded once. She did not say what most folks said when they heard. Did not say he was a good man. Did not say the Lord would reward him. Did not say the children were lucky. She had buried a husband and a child of her own. She knew what was worth saying and what wasn't. You got skills, Mr. Hawk. I can break a horse. I can shoe one. I can build a fence and mend a roof. I can shoot, but I'd druther not. I can read. I can write a clean letter. Fence. Yes, ma'am. My backlot's got one that's been leanin' for a year. The man who said he'd fix it for me last spring took my $4 and rode out the next mornin'. I'll fix it. For what? For the bread. That's not. For the bread, Miss Lily, and a place to lay these children tonight where it ain't dust. She studied him. There's a shed out back. It's clean. It's small. You'd have to keep it clean. Yes, ma'am. And the children sleep in the kitchen, on pallets, where it's warm and where I can hear 'em if they're scared. Ma'am, I can't. Mr. Hawk. Ma'am? My boy would have been 7 this summer, if he'd lived. I lost him and his daddy in the same week. Now you gonna sit there and tell me I can't put 4 children on pallets in my own kitchen? Hunter Hawk was a man who had not cried since Antietam. He did not cry now, but he took his hat off and laid it on the table beside the buttermilk cup, and he bowed his head, and he said low, "No, ma'am, I'm not gonna tell you that." Good. She rose. She started clearing the table. Now, the fence is in the back lot. Tools are in the shed. You start at first light. You don't start before. I bake at first light, and I don't need a stranger's hammer waking my chickens before I've had my coffee. No, ma'am. And Mr. Hawk. Ma'am, Sweetwater Junction is a small town. By sundown, every soul in it will know you slept on my property. By Sunday, every soul will have an opinion about it. I don't care what theirs is. I want to know what yours is. He looked at her, hat in hand. Children scattered around her kitchen like dropped seeds. Miss Lily. Mr. Hawk. My opinion is you're the first person in this town who looked at those children like they were children. That's so. Yes, ma'am. And whatever talk comes, I'll stand it. They'll stand it. We've stood worse. What's worse? Burying 'em. She went still over the dishpan. She did not turn around. Yes, Mr. Hawk. I expect that is worse. The bell above the bakery door chimed before Hunter had finished his bread. Silas Dunn stood in the doorway with 2 men behind him. Miss Lily. Mr. Dunn, we're closed. Door wasn't locked. Door wasn't locked for the children. It's locked for you. Silas smiled. The smile didn't reach anything but his teeth. Just come to make introductions. Hawk was it? Hunter stood up. Slow. Hunter Hawk. Mr. Hawk, there's a town meeting Monday. Folks will want to know who's winterin' on Miss Lily's back lot. Who's eatin' her bread. Who's sleepin' under her roof with 4 little ones nobody's heard tell of. Sounds like folks already know. Folks know what they seen. Town meetin's for what they ain't. Then I'll be at the town meeting. You will? Yes, sir. With the children. Without. And you'll answer questions. I'll answer what's mine to answer. And what ain't. That'll be mine to know. Silas's eyes flicked to Lily. Miss Lily, you understand my concern. I understand you have one Mr. Dunn. That's not the same thing. Folks are gonna talk. You said. I said it once. I'll say it twice. A widow taking in a man and 4 children she don't know, there's words for that, Miss Lily. None of 'em pretty. Hunter Hawk set his hat down on the table, very carefully, the way a man sets down a thing he might break if he held it any longer. Mr. Dunn. Mr. Hawk. You will not speak to that woman in that tone in my hearing again. That's so. Yes, sir, that's so. You're a stranger here, Hawk. I am. You're nobody here. I am that too. Then what's a nobody gonna do about how I speak to a woman I've known 8 years longer than him? Hunter Hawk smiled. It was a small smile. Tired. Patient. The smile of a man who had stood across many fields from many men and had walked back from all of them. Mr. Dunn, I'm not going to do a thing. Tonight I'm going to fix that fence. I'm going to lay these children down. I'm going to sleep 4 hours, and I'm going to get up and I'm going to fix what I missed. That is what I am going to do tonight. About you, sir, about you, I am going to do nothing at all, until you make me. Silas's jaw tightened. The two men behind him shifted their weight. Monday, Mr. Hawk. Monday, Mr. Dunn. The bell chimed once more as he left. Lily stood very still beside the dishpan. Mr. Hawk. Ma'am? That man owns half this town. I figured. He owns the bank that holds the mortgage on this bakery. Hunter went still. Ma'am? He's been asking me to sell for 3 years. He says he wants the lot. I think he wants the answer no woman in Sweetwater has ever given him. Which is what? Yes. Hunter's hands settled on the back of the chair in front of him, and his knuckles went white, and he did not lift them off until he had counted to 10, the way an old officer had taught him to do once in a field outside Sharpsburg. Miss Lily. Mr. Hawk. You have ever told that man no? Every Tuesday for 3 years. And he keeps coming? He keeps coming. Mr. Hawk, I did not tell you this, so you would do anything about it. I told you because you walked into my shop with 4 children and a rifle, and I will not have you wake up Monday morning surprised. No, ma'am, I'm not surprised by much. I expect you ain't. Sissy, half asleep against the table, lifted her head. Uncle Hunter. Yeah, baby. Are we staying? He looked at Lily Hart. Lily Hart looked back at him. The bell above the door swung gently in the breeze that came through where Silas Dunn had not bothered to shut it all the way. Hunter Hawk crossed the floor and shut it himself. He turned the key in the lock. He came back to the table where his niece sat with crumbs on her dress and her eyes round and waiting. He went to one knee in front of her the way he had in the street. Yeah, sissy. Yeah, baby. We're staying a while. Cole did not sleep that first night. He lay on the pallet Lily Hart had set out for him, his 3 siblings breathing soft around him, and he listened to his uncle's hammer against the back fence in the dark. He counted the strikes. When they stopped, he counted the silence. When the silence went too long, he got up. Uncle Hunter. Go on back inside, son. You ain't slept. I'll sleep when it's done. It ain't gonna get done in one night. Then I'll sleep when it ain't. The boy stood there in his bare feet, with his 2 thin shoulders set the way men set theirs. Uncle. Cole. That man at the door earlier, with the cigar. What about him? He's gonna come back. I know it. He's gonna come back with more than 2 men. Hunter stopped. He laid the hammer down across the rail. He turned. How old are you, son? 8. You ain't 8. Yes, sir. You ain't 8. You're 40. You've been 40 since your mama coughed the first time. Cole did not answer. Get inside. Lay down with your sisters. Uncle. Get inside. The boy went. Hunter picked the hammer back up. He drove the next nail so hard the head sank below the wood and split the rail, and he had to start the section over. He started it over. By first light, Lily Hart found him asleep against the post. He'd just sunk his hat over his face, one hand still curled around the hammer. She did not wake him. She went back inside, set coffee on, and rolled out her morning dough. And when Sissy padded into the kitchen, rubbing her eyes, Lily put a tin of warm milk into her hands and said, Don't wake your uncle. He worked through the night for us. For us? For us. Yes, baby. Sissy held that tin like it was made of china. Hunter woke when the first wagon rolled past on the street out front. He came in through the back door with sawdust in his beard and his hat in his hand, and Lily set a plate of biscuits and gravy in front of him without a word. Miss Lily. Eat. Ma'am, Mr. Hawk, if you say one more word about not deserving breakfast, I will throw it out the door. And then we'll both stand here having wasted it. Eat. He ate. The bell over the front door chimed. Lily wiped her hands on her apron. "Stay back here." "Ma'am." "Stay back here, please." He stayed. He listened. "Mornin', Miss Hart." "Mrs. Pickering." "I come for my Saturday loaves." "They're wrapped, 2 of 'em. That'll be 6 cents. Miss Hart." "Mrs. Pickering." "I won't be taking the loaves today." A pause. "Ma'am?" "I'll be taking my custom to the Henderson place from now on. They opened a oven last month, you may have heard." "I heard." "Yes. Mrs. Pickering, your husband and mine fished the same creek for 15 years. He did. And I'm sorry, Lily. I am. But Silas Dunn was at our table last night, and he was very plain about who's being fed in this town and who ain't." "I see. It's nothing personal, dear." "No, ma'am. I expect it ain't." The bell chimed. Hunter stood up. Lily came back into the kitchen with both wrapped loaves still in her hands, and she set them down on the table with the deliberate care of a woman setting down something she did not trust herself to keep holding. "Mr. Hawk." "Yes, ma'am." "Eat your breakfast." "Ma'am, that man is shutting down your custom." "Eat your breakfast, Mr. Hawk." He sat. He ate. He watched her over the rim of the coffee cup, and he saw that her hands were trembling on the apron strings, and he did not say a word. The bell chimed twice more before noon. Both times she came back with her loaves still in her hands. By afternoon the bread was stacked on the long pine table where the children sat, and Pearl took a piece in her small hand and said, "Miss Lily, are we eatin' your money?" "No, baby." "It looks like we are." "It ain't money till it's sold. Right now it's just bread, and bread feeds children. That's all bread is for." Pearl considered that. "Then it ain't money." "No, sweet girl, it ain't." Hunter set down the post-hole digger he had been cleaning at the back step, and he came inside, and he picked up his hat off the peg. "Where you going?" Lily said. "To the lumber yard." "What for?" "Nails." "You don't need nails." "I need something. I need to walk into this town and let it look at me, Miss Lily. If I sit in this kitchen one more hour, that man wins before Monday." She looked at him a long moment. "Take Cole." "Ma'am?" "Take the boy. Town needs to see he's a child, not a rumor." Cole stood up from the pallet without being asked. "I'll go, Uncle." "You stay close to me." "Yes, sir." They walked out together. The street did not stop exactly, but it slowed. A woman pulling laundry from a line let a sheet drop and did not pick it up. 2 men outside the feed store stopped mid-conversation. A boy of about 10 on the boardwalk pointed openly until his mother yanked his arm down. Hunter did not look at any of them. He looked straight ahead. Cole walked at his hip, half a step back, the way the boy's father had once walked beside Hunter on a country road in Tennessee a long time ago. At the lumber yard, the man behind the counter was a thick-armed German named Otto Voss, and he did not look up when Hunter came to the counter. "Help you." "Pound of 8-penny nails." "Out." "Out." "Out till Tuesday." "Tuesday." "Tuesday." Hunter laid a coin on the counter. "Out till Tuesday, sir." Otto's jaw worked. "Mr. Hawk." "Sir?" "I have got a wife." "Yes, sir." "And 4 daughters." "Yes, sir." "And Mr. Dunn buys his lumber from this yard." "I understand." "Do you?" "Yes, sir, I do." Otto's eyes flickered down to Cole, and Cole looked back at him with the steady gravity of an 8-year-old who had buried his mother, and something passed across the German's face that he tried to hide and could not. He glanced toward the door. He glanced toward the back. He pushed the coin back. "Tuesday, Mr. Hawk." "Tuesday, Mr. Voss." But as Hunter turned, the German said low and fast, "Back alley, sundown. You come alone. Bring the coin." Hunter did not turn his head. "Yes, sir." They walked out. Cole waited until they were 2 blocks gone before he spoke. "Uncle." "Don't. He's gonna sell to you anyway, ain't he?" "Don't talk about it on this street, son." "Yes, sir." They were almost to the bakery when the first stone hit. It struck the boardwalk a foot in front of Cole's bare feet and skipped sideways into the dust. Cole flinched. Hunter caught his shoulder and put him behind his hip in one motion and turned. 3 boys, 12, 14, 15. The biggest one had another stone in his fist. "That for me, son," Hunter said. "My pa says you're squatting on Miss Hart's land." "That's so. My pa says she's a whore for taking you in." The stone in his hand was gripped hard. Hunter did not move. "What's your pa's name, boy?" "None of your business." "Reckon it is. A man teaches his son to call a widow such a thing that man and me are gonna talk." "You ain't gonna talk to my pa. Throw the stone or drop it, son. One or the other. I'm a busy man." The boy threw it. Hunter caught it out of the air an inch from Cole's face. He looked at it in his palm. He looked at the boy. He set the stone down on the boardwalk gentle, the way a man sets down a thing he does not want to break. "Go on home, son. You, go on home, and tell your daddy that Hunter Hawk is at the town meeting Monday, and if he's got something to say about the woman who fed my children when nobody else in this town would, he can stand up and say it then, to my face." The boy went. Cole had not moved from behind Hunter's hip. "Uncle." "Yeah. You was fast. Get inside, son." They got inside. Lily took one look at Cole's white face and at Hunter's hand, still half-curled, where the stone had been, and she did not ask. She set Cole at the table. She poured him milk. She went into the back room, and she came out 2 minutes later with her eyes red and dry. "Mr. Hawk?" "Ma'am?" "Walk with me." "Where to?" "The yard. I want to see what you got done last night." He walked with her. She stood at the corner of the half-mended fence and did not look at it. "That stone was for him." "Yes, ma'am." "That stone was for an 8-year-old boy." "Yes, ma'am." "I have lived in this town 19 years." "Yes, ma'am." "My husband helped raise the schoolhouse roof. My son was christened in that little church on the rise. I baked the bread for 2 of those boys' weddings." She stopped. She put her hand against the fence rail Hunter had hung in the dark. "Mr. Hawk?" "Yes, ma'am. I am not going to lose this bakery. No, ma'am. And I am not going to lose those children." He looked at her. "They ain't yours, Miss Lily." "I am aware." "They are yours, Mr. Hawk." "I am aware. I said I was not going to lose them. I did not say what they were to me, and I will thank you not to make me say it on the second day of knowing you." He took his hat off. "No, ma'am." She turned away. She walked back to the kitchen. He stood there a long minute with his hat in his hand, and then he picked the hammer up. By sundown, half the back fence stood square and true. He went to the alley behind the lumber yard at the hour Otto had said. Otto met him there with a sack of nails, not a pound, but 2, and a coil of fence wire, and a packet wrapped in brown paper that the German shoved into Hunter's chest without a word. "Sir, salt pork, for the children." "Mr. Voss, I can't." "My oldest girl, she is 6. She would have stood under those horses yesterday, and not one of those people on that street would have moved. I saw it. I saw what they did not do. You took my coin, Mr. Hawk. We are square. Go." Hunter went. He did not say thank you because Otto Voss did not want it said. He said instead at the mouth of the alley, "Sir." "Mr. Hawk." "Monday meetin'. I will be there." "Sir, I would not ask." "You did not ask. Go." He went. He came in through the back door of the bakery with the salt pork and the nails and the wire, and Lily looked up from the dough trough and said nothing. She set out a plate. She cut him a slab of bread with butter on it. She said, "Sit." He sat. The children were in the front room. Lily had gathered them around a Bible she was reading aloud, from Slow, the way a woman reads to children who have not been read to in a long while. And Sissy had her head on Lily's knee, and Pearl was braiding the hem of Lily's apron, and Bo was already asleep with his thumb in his mouth, and Cole sat at her feet, with his arms around his knees, and his eyes shut, and his breathing slow for the first time in a day and a half. Hunter stood in the doorway and watched. Lily looked up. Their eyes held for a count of 3. She went back to the Bible. He went back to the kitchen and ate his bread alone. Later, when the children were down on the pallets and breathing deep, Lily came into the kitchen with her shawl pulled around her and sat across from him at the long table. Mr. Hawk. Miss Lily. There's something I haven't told you. Yes, ma'am. Silas Dunn raised my mortgage 2 months ago. He went still. By how much? Doubled it. Doubled. Yes, sir. And the next payment is due the 1st of August. That's 3 weeks. That is 3 weeks. And if you don't pay it, then the bakery is his, the lot is his, the shed is his, the fence you are buildin' is his. Hunter did not move. How much short are you, Miss Lily? $18. 18. Yes. For 3 weeks? Yes. He set his coffee cup down very carefully. Why are you telling me this tonight? Because tomorrow is Sunday, and that man will be in the front pew of that church looking at me across the aisle, and I will not have you sitting next to me not knowing. You want me sitting next to you in church? She lifted her chin. Mr. Hawk, I want those 4 children sitting in a pew where this town can see them washed and combed and prayed over. I want them to walk past Silas Dunn with their heads up. I want every soul in Sweetwater Junction to look at Sissy Hawk in a clean dress and Cole Hawk in a clean shirt and decide which side of the aisle they want to be on come Monday. And I want their uncle sitting at the end of the pew like a man who has nothing to be ashamed of in this life because he has not. Hunter looked at her. He looked at her a long time. Miss Lily. Mr. Hawk. You are asking a man to walk into that church who has not set foot in one since 1862. She did not flinch. I am asking a man to walk into that church who fed my soul a meal yesterday and did not know it. Ma'am. Please. He breathed out. He set both palms flat on the table. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes, ma'am. I will sit in the pew. I will sit at the end. I will have those children washed and combed. Thank you. Miss Lily. Mr. Hawk. The $18. Don't. Ma'am, I have got Mr. Hawk. In my saddle, sewn into the lining, from my mustering out. I have not touched it in 11 years. I was saving it for the day the children needed a roof in winter. Mr. Hawk, I cannot take. They need a roof in winter, ma'am. They need this roof. You're feeding them under it. She looked at him across the table, and her eyes were bright, and she did not let them fall. 11 years. Yes, ma'am. You carried it 11 years. Yes, ma'am. Through how many towns? Couldn't count 'em. And tonight? Tonight it goes for the mortgage. She put her face in her hands. She did not cry. She breathed once hard into her palms, and she lifted her face and she said, Mr. Hawk, if you give me that money tonight, then on Monday Silas Dunn is going to walk into that meeting, and he is going to know that I have paid him, and he is going to know how, and he is going to make this worse than it already is. I know it. Then why? Because 3 weeks from now is too late, Miss Lily, and because I would druther fight him with a roof over those children than without. She was quiet a long minute. Mr. Hawk. Ma'am. What was her name? He looked up. Whose? Your wife's. He did not answer for a count of 10. Mary. And the children. James, he was 4. Ruth, she was 2. Mr. Hawk. Ma'am? I'm sorry. I am sorry for yours. His name was Thomas. The boy was Joshua. Yes, ma'am. She rose. She went to the back room. She came out with a tin box. She set it on the table between them. This is what I have. He set his palm flat on the box without opening it. Miss Lily. Mr. Hawk. Tomorrow we go to church. Yes. Monday we go to the meetin'. Yes. And tonight before we sleep, we count what's in that box and what's in my saddle, and we figure if it's enough. And if it ain't? He looked at her across the lamplight. Then I will find what ain't Miss Lily. I have not yet failed to find what was needin' findin'. I do not intend to start tonight. She nodded once. She sat down. He went out to the wagon, and he came back with a flat pouch from inside the lining of his saddle, and he laid it on the table next to the tin box, and they sat across from each other in the lamplight and counted. $22.40 in the tin. $19 even in the pouch. She covered her mouth with her hand. It is enough. Yes, ma'am. It is enough, Mr. Hawk. Yes, ma'am, by $1.40. She laughed. It was the first time he had heard her laugh, and it came out of her like something that had been locked up and was now turning over after a long while of stillness. Mr. Hawk? Ma'am? You walked into this town yesterday. Yes, ma'am. And tonight you are paying my mortgage. Yes, ma'am. What kind of man does that? He looked at her across the lamp. A tired one, Miss Lily. She laughed again. She wiped her eye with the back of her wrist. Go to bed, Mr. Hawk. Yes, ma'am. He took his hat. He went to the door. He stopped with his hand on the latch. Miss Lily. Mr. Hawk. Whatever Silas Dunn does Monday. Yes. He does not get this house. He does not get those children. He does not get you. She did not answer. He went out to the shed. She blew out the lamp. In the dark in her kitchen, with 4 orphaned children breathing soft on the pallets at her feet, Lily Hart sat at the table where $18.40 and a Tennessee man's 11-year savings lay between 2 bowls, and she put her face down on her folded arms, and at last, after 2 years and 4 months, the widow Hart let herself cry. Sunday morning came hard. Lily was up before the rooster. She had Sissy and Pearl scrubbed pink and braided by the time Hunter came in from the shed with his shirt buttoned to the throat and his hat brushed clean. Mr. Hawk? Ma'am. Cole's collar. Ma'am, it's crooked. Fix it before we walk. He fixed it. Cole stood still under his uncle's hands and did not say a word. The boy had not slept either. Hunter could see it around his eyes. Son? Yes, sir. You walk between Pearl and Sissy. You hold their hands. You do not let go for nothing. Yes, sir. Bo rides on my hip. Yes, sir. Miss Lily walks with us. The boy's eyes flicked to Lily and back. Yes, sir. They walked. The street was full because it was Sunday, and the street was always full on Sunday, but it went quiet when they came out of the bakery. A wagon stopped. A woman pulled her child against her skirts. A man on the boardwalk took the cigar out of his mouth and did not put it back. Hunter did not slow his stride. Lily did not slow hers. The bell above the church was ringing as they reached the steps. The pastor, a thin man with kind eyes and a worn Bible under his arm, looked up from greeting his flock, saw the procession coming up the walk, and his face did a thing that he tried to make it not do. Miss Hart. Pastor Doolin. And your guests. Mr. Hunter Hawk, his niece Sissy, his nephew Cole, his niece Pearl, his nephew Bo. The pastor's eyes flickered down the row of children. Miss Hart, Pastor. There is a question of seating arrangements. Pastor Doolin. Yes, ma'am. Is there pew room in this house of God? Miss Hart, please. Is there pew room? Mr. Dunn has taken the front pew. The Pickerings have the second. The back pew, then. Miss Hart, the back pew is taken too. It is the Hendersons have moved up, and the back pew is presently empty. Then we will sit in it. Miss Hart. She had already passed him. Hunter touched the brim of his hat to the pastor and went after her with Bo against his shoulder, and Cole walked between his sisters with their 2 small hands locked tight in his, and the whole congregation turned in its pews to watch them come up the aisle. Silas Dunn turned the slowest. He sat in the front pew in a black suit with his hat in his lap and a pocket watch glinting at his vest, and when he saw Lily, his mouth made the smallest motion, not quite a smile, not quite anything you could put a hand on, and then he turned back to face the altar. Lily sat in the back pew. Hunter sat at the end. Sissy leaned against him. Pearl leaned against Lily. Cole sat between straight-backed as a soldier. The pastor cleared his throat. He opened his Bible. He preached. Hunter heard maybe 1 word in 3 because he was listening to the church around him. The breath of it, the small shiftings, the place where Silas Dunn sat too still, and he was listening for what was coming, and what was coming had not yet shown its face. It showed it on the steps after. The pastor went out first. The Dunns went out second. The town filed past the back pew without looking at it. When Lily and Hunter and the children came down the steps, last Silas was waiting in the yard. 2 men beside him. Not the same 2 from Friday. Bigger. Miss Hart. Mr. Dunn. I was hoping to have a word. It's the Sabbath, Mr. Dunn. It is. And on the Sabbath, a man is to consider his neighbor. I've been considering mine. Mr. Dunn. I have Miss Hart a piece of news for you. She stopped. The children stopped because she did. Hunter shifted Bo on his hip and turned a quarter turn so his free hand was loose at his side. Mr. Dunn? Your mortgage. Yes. Has been called. A silence. Called. Called in. Full balance. Due by close of business Tuesday. Mr. Dunn, the agreement is for monthly ed. The agreement contains a clause, Miss Hart, regarding moral character of the borrower, and the bank's right to call the note in the event the borrower has entered into circumstances the bank deems irregular. Irregular? You have a man and 4 children living on your premises, Miss Hart. A man you cannot account for. Children you cannot name a father for that is not him. The bank considers that irregular. The bank. The bank, ma'am. You are the bank, Silas. I am one of 3 trustees. You are the only trustee in this town. That is so. Hunter did not move. He shifted Bo very gently to Lily's arms, and Lily took the boy without taking her eyes off Silas, and Hunter stepped forward 1/2 pace. Mr. Dunn. Mr. Hawk. Tuesday. Close of business. And the full sum. $142. Cole made a small sound behind Hunter that the boy bit off the second it left him. Hunter did not turn. 142. Yes, sir. Miss Hart was prepared to pay you 18 tomorrow. 18 will not satisfy the note as called. No, sir. I expect not. Mr. Hawk, I bear you no ill will. This is a business matter. The bank has its rules. The bank. Yes, sir. Mr. Dunn. Mr. Hawk. I will see you in that meeting tomorrow. You will. Sir. Mr. Hawk. This is the last time you speak to that woman about her own house in front of her own children on the steps of a church. Silas smiled the smile that did not reach anything. Or what, Mr. Hawk? Or you and I have a reckoning that don't end with paper. The 2 men beside Silas shifted. Lily said low, Hunter. It was the first time she had said his given name. He felt it strike him in the chest like a hand laid flat there. He stepped back. Tuesday, Mr. Dunn. Tuesday, Mr. Hawk. They walked home. Halfway down the street, Pearl began to cry without sound, and Lily handed Bo back to Hunter and picked Pearl up and held her on her hip the rest of the way to the bakery, though Pearl was nearly too big for it, and the child clung to Lily's neck and did not stop crying until they were inside with the door shut. Lily set Pearl on the table. She looked at Hunter. $142. Yes, ma'am. By Tuesday. Yes, ma'am. That is not findable, Mr. Hawk. It is findable. Where? I do not know yet. Cole spoke from the doorway. The horse. They turned. Cole, Hunter said. The horse, uncle. The bay. He's worth 50 if he's worth $1. Son? And the saddle. Son? And the rifle. Cole, get over here. The boy came over. He stood in front of Hunter with his 8-year-old's chin up, and he said, Uncle, I will not be the reason she loses this house. Hunter went down on one knee. You ain't the reason for nothing that man does. Uncle? Look at me, Cole. You ain't the reason. You ain't never been the reason. Not for your mama, not for your daddy, not for this. You hear me, son? Yes, sir. Now I am going to handle this. How? I do not know how yet, but I am going to handle it. And you are going to sit at this table and you are going to eat what Miss Lily puts in front of you, and you are going to be 8 years old for 1 hour of your life, son. For me. Do you reckon you can do that? Cole's face broke for the first time since Hunter had taken him out of the cholera house in Tennessee. He nodded once. He did not say a word. He sat at the table. Lily turned away. She put her hands flat on the counter. Her shoulders went up and down once hard. Hunter rose. "Miss Lily." "Mr. Hawk." "I'm going out." "Where?" "Otto Voss." "Then the livery. Then a man I knew in the war who is north of here 40 miles. 40 miles? I will be back tomorrow at sunup, for the meetin'. Hunter. "Ma'am. If you ride 40 miles tonight, you will be in no shape to stand in that meetin' tomorrow. I will be in shape. You will be in no shape." He looked at her. "Miss Lily." "Yes. I have ridden harder for less." She did not answer. He went out. He saddled the bay in the back lot. He took the rifle. Cole followed him out, stood by the post. "Uncle?" "Get inside, son." "Take me with you." "No." "Uncle, please." "Son, listen. If something goes sideways tonight, you are the man in this house. You hear me?" "Yes, sir." "You watch Bo. You watch your sisters. You watch Miss Lily." "Yes, sir." "And if Silas Dunn or any of his comes onto this lot tonight?" "Yes, sir." "You take Bo and the girls and Miss Lily into that root cellar under the kitchen, and you bar the door from the inside, and you do not open it. Not for a voice, not for a knock, not for nothing. Until you hear my voice." "Yes, sir." "Your voice and mine, Cole. We had a song. You remember it?" "Yes, sir." "You make me sing it before you open." "Yes, sir." He swung up. He looked down at the boy. "Cole." "Yes, sir." "You are 8 years old." "Yes, sir." "I see you, son." The boy's chin shook once. Hunter rode. He went to Otto Voss first. The German came out into his yard with his shirt sleeves rolled and listened to Hunter speak for 2 minutes without interrupting. 142. "Yes, sir." "Mr. Hawk, I have got $11 in this house tonight." "Sir, I am not asking for—" "Take the 11. "Mr. Voss, take it. You will pay me when you have it. If you do not have it, then I have lost $11 to a man I owe my daughter to. That is a price I have already settled in my mind. Take it." He took it. He rode to the livery. Old man Crane was inside oiling a bridle. "Mr. Hawk." "Sir." "You sellin' that bay?" "Yes, sir." "How much you want?" "What's he worth?" 60, maybe 65 if I got the right buyer." 60 tonight, Mr. Crane." "Tonight." "Tonight." Crane looked at the bay. He looked at Hunter. He looked at the rifle. "And the rifle?" "Sir, the rifle ain't—" "Mr. Hawk, I have lived in this town 40 years. I knew Lily Hart's husband. I knew her boy. I know what Silas Dunn has been doing on her step every Tuesday for 3 years. And I know what he done on the steps of that church today, because my wife was on those steps, and she has not stopped crying since. Now you sell me that rifle." "Yes, sir." 20 for the rifle." 20. 20, with a buyback clause. You come into $80 in the next year, the rifle is yours again." "Yes, sir." He took the 80. He rode the 40 miles north on a borrowed plow horse Crane lent him with the words, "You bring her back when you bring her back." He rode through dark. He rode through the small hours. He came to the cabin of a man named Jeremiah Bell, who had served under him in Mary's brother's company, and who was now a cattleman with a 600-acre spread, and Jeremiah Bell came out onto his porch in his nightshirt, with a lantern in his hand and a colt in the other. And when he saw Hunter Hawk on his step at 3 in the morning, he set the colt down and the lantern down, and he embraced him. "Captain." "Jeremiah." "You come at last." "I come for help. I've been waiting 11 years to give it. Come inside." Hunter went inside. He told the story in 17 minutes flat. Jeremiah Bell rose from his table without a word, and went into the next room, and came back with a leather sack, and counted out on his own kitchen table $65. "That is what I have in the house tonight." "Jeremiah, I cannot—" "Captain, You carried me out of a creek bed at Fredericksburg with a ball in your hip you had not yet noticed because you were carrying me. And you will not say one more word about it. It is a loan. It is a debt repaid. You will not speak of it again. Now eat, and lay down for 2 hours. I will wake you. You ride at 5. He ate. He lay down. At 5, Jeremiah Bell shook him awake with coffee. He rode. He came back into Sweetwater Junction at 10 minutes past 9 on Monday morning with the borrowed plow horse lathered to the chest and $176 in a leather sack against his ribs, and the meetin' had already started. He could hear it from the street. Voices. A man shouting. He swung down at the rail in front of the town hall and went up the steps 3 at a time and pushed the door open. The hall was full. Silas Dunn stood at the front with his thumbs in his vest. In the second row stood a thick-shouldered man with a face like a fist, and he was the one shouting, and he was shouting at Lily Hart, who stood in the aisle with Bo on her hip, and Sissy at her side, and Pearl behind her skirts, and Cole standing in front of her. 8 years old, both hands fisted at his sides between his sisters, and the man who was shouting. A whore in this town, that's what she is, and that boy, The door banged shut behind Hunter. Every face turned. The shouting man stopped. Hunter walked up the aisle. He walked slow. He walked the way a man walks who has ridden 80 miles in a night and is about to do one more thing before he allows himself to feel any of it. He stopped in front of the shouting man. "Sir." "You." "Sir. What is your name?" "You go to hell, Drifter." "What is his name?" He said it to the room. A voice from the back. "Burl Hawking." "Mr. Hawking." "You, Mr. Hawking. That is my nephew you are standing in front of. He is 8 years old. His mama has been in the ground 9 months. His daddy died in the war you sat out, sir, because I have asked, and I know who served from this town and who did not. You will step back from that boy now, or you and I will have a conversation that does not end in this hall." Burl Hawking did not step back. "That woman is a—" Hunter hit him once, open hand, across the mouth, hard enough to turn the man's head and snap the silence in that hall like a dropped plate. Hawking went back 2 steps. The hall came up out of its seats. Silas Dunn shouted, "Order, order in this!" Hunter turned to face the room. He held the leather sack in his fist. $176. The hall went quiet. "Mr. Dunn, $142 for Miss Hart's note. The rest for the next 2 months in advance." "Mr. Hawk, you will take the money." "Mr. Hawk, the matter before this hall is not the note. The matter before this hall is the moral question of, Mr. Dunn." "Mr. Hawk, you will take the money, sir, or you will explain to every soul in this hall why a bank trustee refuses payment from a borrower in good standin' on the day it is offered." A murmur. Otto Voss stood up in the 3rd row. "He should take the money." A woman 2 rows back. "He should take it." Old man Crane from the back. "Take the money, Silas." Silas Dunn's jaw worked. He came down off the platform. He held out his hand. Hunter laid the sack in it. "There is a receipt due me, Mr. Dunn. You will have it. Today. Today. Now." Silas's eyes went hot. "Now, Mr. Hawk. Now, Mr. Dunn. Right here, in front of these witnesses, or I will not leave this hall." The murmur grew. Silas pulled a paper from his coat pocket. He pulled a stub of pencil. He wrote on his own thigh. He signed. He held the receipt out. Hunter took it. He did not look at it. He folded it. He put it inside his vest. He turned to Lily. "Miss Hart. Mr. Hawk. Take the children home." "Hunter. Take the children home, ma'am. I will be along." She did not move. "Hunter. What else? There is a man behind me with blood on his lip who is going to tell this hall what he knows in front of the people who sent him here to say it. And I am going to stand here while he says it. And then I am coming home. Take them, Lily. Please." She took them. She went. The door shut behind her. Hunter Hawk turned back to the room. He looked at Burl Hawking, who had a hand pressed to his mouth and read between his fingers. He looked past Hawking to the man 2 rows back who had not stood up and who would not meet his eye, and who he had marked the second he came through the door. Mr. Dunn. Mr. Hawk. You sent this man to say a word about that woman in front of those children today. I did no such thing. Sir. I did no such thing, Hawk. Then you will not mind if I ask Mr. Hawking in this room who paid him to come. Burl Hawking lifted his head. He looked at Silas Dunn. He looked at Hunter. He opened his mouth. He closed it. He opened it again. He paid me $4. The hall came up like a wave. Silas's face went the color of milk. That is a lie. $4 Saturday night, to stand up at the meetin' and call her what I called her, and to call the boy what I was about to call him. Hawking, you are a damned liar. And to shove the boy, if it come to it. The hall roared. Pastor Doolin was on his feet. Otto Voss was on his feet. Old Man Crane came up the aisle. Hunter did not move. He looked at Silas Dunn over the heads of all of them, and Silas Dunn looked back at him, and what passed between them in that one held second was a thing older than that town, and older than that hall, and older than the war that had made Hunter Hawk into the man he was. Silas's right hand went inside his coat. A woman screamed. Hunter Hawk saw the motion, and he did not have a rifle, and he did not have a knife, and he had 80 miles of road in his bones, and 4 children waiting on him in a kitchen down the street, and he moved anyway. He moved fast. He closed the 8 feet between himself and Silas Dunn, before Silas's hand cleared the coat, and he caught the wrist, and he twisted it behind the man's back. And the small 2-shot derringer that came out of Silas's coat clattered across the boards of the platform and stopped at Pastor Doolin's foot. The hall had gone dead silent. Pastor Doolin looked down at the gun. He looked up at Silas Dunn. He looked up at Hunter Hawk, who held the trustee of the Sweetwater Junction Bank by one twisted wrist and a fistful of black wool collar. "Lord have mercy," the pastor whispered. Hunter Hawk spoke into Silas Dunn's ear low, just for him, just so the man would hear it before the rest of the hall did. "Sir, Hawk, you are done in this town." The pastor's hand shook when he picked the derringer up off the boards. "Mr. Dunn?" "Pastor, you brought a weapon into a civic meetin' in a hall that sits 20 feet from the church I serve." "Pastor, I have a permit. You have an answer to give this town, Silas, and it is not going to be about a permit." A man in the back stood up. "Send for the marshal." "Send for him now." "Crane, get on a horse." Old Crane went. Hunter Hawk had not let go of Silas Dunn's wrist. "Mr. Hawk." "Pastor, you can release him, son. The hall has him now." Hunter let him go. Silas staggered one step. He straightened his coat. He fixed his cuffs the way a man fixes his cuffs when he is trying to remind himself he is still a man who wears them. "This is a misunderstanding." Otto Voss spoke from the 3rd row. "What did you misunderstand, Mr. Dunn? The $4 to Burl or the gun in your coat?" "Voss, you keep your German tongue. My German tongue is buying bread from Miss Hart this afternoon, and every Monday after." A woman 2 pews over stood up. "And mine." A second woman. "And mine." Pastor Doolin lifted both hands. "Brothers, sisters, sit. The marshal's comin'. Until he comes, this hall is in session, and no man is goin' anywhere." Silas's eyes went to the door. Hunter stepped between Silas and the door. "Mr. Dunn?" "Hawk." "Sit down, sir." He sat down. Burl Hawking was sitting in the 2nd pew with a handkerchief at his mouth. He had not moved since he had spoken. He sat the way a man sits who has finally said a thing he has been carrying so long he had forgotten it was a weight. Hunter went to him. "Mr. Hawking." "Mr. Hawk, you are going to repeat what you just said to the marshal when he comes." "Yes, sir." "And then you are going to go home." "Mr. Hawk, And then tomorrow, you are going to come to Miss Hart's bakery, and you are going to apologize to her in front of her children for what come out of your mouth this morning." Burl Hawking's eyes filled. "Yes, sir." "And then you are going to walk out of her shop, and you are not going to come back, sir, until you have done something in this town worth coming back for." "Yes, sir." Hunter turned away. The hall watched him. He felt the weight of 80 miles in his knees and at the small of his back, and he took 2 breaths and held himself standing, because there were children in a kitchen on Main Street waiting on him to come down that aisle still standing, and he was going to come down, it standing, and he was going to walk those 4 blocks home standing, and after that, he would let himself think about sitting. Pastor Doolin came down off the platform. "Mr. Hawk." "Pastor." "Son, you sit. The marshal will be here in 20 minutes. You sit on that pew, and you let me bring you a cup of water." "Pastor, I'm fine." "Son." "Pastor." "You are swaying. Sit." Hunter sat. The pastor brought him water. Hunter drank it. The hall watched him drink it. Otto Voss came down the aisle. He sat next to Hunter on the pew without asking. He did not say a word. He just sat. After a minute, he reached over and laid his thick hand once on Hunter's shoulder and lifted it and went back to his own pew. Hunter shut his eyes. He did not let them stay shut. Crane came back at the head of 3 riders. The marshal of Sweetwater County was a tall man with a mustache gone white at the corners of his mouth, and he had been the marshal since Lily Hart's husband was a boy, and he came down the aisle of the town hall with his hat in his hand and his eyes on Silas Dunn. "Silas?" "Marshal." "You want to tell me what happened?" "There has been an incident, Marshal, that—" "Save your breath, Silas. Pastor." Pastor Doolin held the derringer out on his open palm. The marshal took it. He looked at it. He put it in his coat pocket. "Burl Hawking." "Yes, sir." "On your feet." Burl stood. "You want to tell me what you told this hall?" He told him. The marshal listened without interrupting. When Burl finished, the marshal turned to Silas. "Silas Dunn, you are under arrest for attempted assault, conspiracy to incite, and the unlawful drawing of a concealed firearm in a civic gathering. You will come with me to the jailhouse. You will answer to a circuit judge in Carson Springs on Friday. Stand up." Silas stood. His face had gone white and stayed white. "Marshal, there has been—" "Silas. My brother is coming through this town on Wednesday. Magnus. You know Magnus." The marshal stopped. The hall went still in a different way than it had been still before. "I know Magnus, Silas. He is a partner at the bank in Carson Springs. He will have a word about this matter with the judge before Friday. He may try to. He will, Marshal." "Silas." "Yes." "Walk." Silas walked. He walked past Hunter on the pew, and he stopped, and he leaned down, and he said very low just to Hunter, "My brother is twice the man I am, Hawk. Then you are an even smaller man than I took you for, Mr. Dunn." Silas walked. The marshal walked behind him. The hall was quiet for a count of 10 after the door shut behind them. Then Otto Voss said loud, "I am buying 2 loaves a day from Miss Hart from now until Christmas. If anyone in this hall has a problem with that, they may take it up with me on a Sunday in the yard behind my forge." A laugh. A small one, but a laugh. The hall began to come back to itself. Pastor Doolin came over to Hunter on the pew. "Mr. Hawk." "Pastor, you need to walk home, son." "Yes, sir." "You need an arm to walk home on." "No, sir. I need to walk home on my own legs, or those children will see me come through that door on another man's arm, and they have seen enough already this morning." The pastor nodded once. "Go." He went. The walk to the bakery was the longest 4 blocks of Hunter Hawk's life. The street had not gone back to itself yet. People stood in their doorways. A woman who had cut Lily off her custom on Saturday stood on her porch, and as Hunter walked past, she said low, "Mr. Hawk." He stopped. "Ma'am." "I will be by Miss Hart's tomorrow, for my Saturday loaves. 2 of them. I will pay double." "Ma'am, that ain't necessary." "It is, sir. To me." "Then she will be glad of your custom, Mrs. Pickering." He walked on. Halfway down the street, his right knee gave a half a step, and he caught himself on a hitching post, and stood there for a count of 5, and then he walked the rest of the way to the bakery without it giving again. The bell over the door chimed. Lily was on her feet before he was through it. "Hunter?" "Miss Lily." "Sit." "Ma'am, Hunter Hawk." It was the second time she had said his given name. He sat. She knelt in front of him and took his hat off his head with both hands and set it on the chair beside him. "Cole." "Yes, ma'am." "Bring me the basin and the cloth, and a cup of broth. The pot on the back of the stove." "Yes, ma'am." The boy went. Sissy came up to the side of the chair and took Hunter's hand in both of her small ones, and she did not say a word. She just held it, and Pearl came up to the other side and laid her head against his arm, and Bo, who had been asleep on a pallet, padded over still half in dreams, and climbed straight up into Hunter's lap and put his head against his uncle's chest. Hunter put his arm around the boy. Lily looked up at him. Her eyes were full. She did not let them spill. "What happened?" He told her. He told it short. He told it the way a soldier tells a story to another soldier with the worst parts left out and the order kept. When he came to the gun, she put her hand over her mouth. When he came to the marshal, she breathed out. When he came to what Silas had said about his brother, she went still. "Magnus. You know him. Everyone in this county knows him. Tell me, he is the older brother. He is the one with the brains and the money. Silas is the dog he sends out to do the bitin'. If Silas is in jail and Magnus is comin' Wednesday, he is comin' for me. He is comin' for both of us, Hunter. He is comin' for the bakery and the children and you. Then he will find me here. Hunter. Ma'am, you have not slept in 2 days. I will sleep tonight. Hunter. Lily. She went quiet at the sound of her own name. He had not used it before. Yes? I will sleep tonight, ma'am, because tomorrow I have got to be on my feet. And Wednesday I have got to be on my feet, and there is no version of this where I am not on my feet when that man rides into this town. So I am going to eat what you put in front of me, and I am going to lay my head down, and I am going to be a man again in the mornin'. She did not answer. She rose. She set the basin of warm water on the table. She wet the cloth. She took it to his face. Sissy and Pearl watched her do it without a word. Bo slept against his chest. Cole came back with the broth and stood at the elbow of the chair and held the cup steady while his uncle drank it because his uncle's hands were shaking, and the boy did not say a word about the shaking, and neither did anyone else. When the broth was gone, Lily said, "Bed." "Ma'am, the fence." "The fence has stood there leanin' a year. It will stand another night." "Yes, ma'am." She walked him to this back room. It was her own room. He stopped in the doorway. "Miss Lily, you will sleep in this bed tonight. I will sleep on the pallet with the children." "I will not." "Hunter." "Lily. You will sleep in this bed. You will sleep 8 hours. And tomorrow at first light, you will be on your feet, and you will be the man you said you were going to be, and you cannot be that man on the floor of a shed." "Ma'am, It is just a bed, Mr. Hawk." "It is your bed, Miss Hart." She looked at him. She looked at him a long time. "Yes." "Then I cannot." "Hunter." "I cannot, Lily. Not because of what folks would say, because of what I would know. Folks have already said what they were going to say, and I do not give a damn for any of it. But there is a way a man comes into a woman's life, and there is a way he does not, and I will not come into yours by sleeping in your bed on the day I learned it was yours." She did not speak for a long count. "Mr. Hawk." "Ma'am?" "Then I will set you up a pallet in the kitchen." "Yes, ma'am." "With the children." "Yes, ma'am." "And I will sleep in my own bed tonight, and I will lay awake in it, and I will know that you said that to me, and I will think on it for the rest of my life." He took her hand. He had not meant to. He took it in his right hand, the one that had thrown the punch in the hall, and he held it for the count of 3, and he set it down. "Good night, Miss Lily." "Good night, Mr. Hawk." He slept on the kitchen pallet between Cole and Bo for 9 hours straight. He did not dream. Or if he did not remember any of it, which was a mercy he had not been granted in 11 years. Tuesday, the bakery was full from sunup to sundown. Mrs. Pickering came at 6 and bought 4 loaves. The Hendersons came at 7 and bought 3. Otto Voss came at 8 with his oldest girl, who set a tin of butter on the counter and would not let Lily pay her for it. By noon, there was no bread left. By 2, Lily was rolling out a third batch, and the oven was hot enough to bake brick. And Sissy had a flower print apron of her own and was kneading at the long table beside her, and Pearl was sweeping the floor with a broom that came up to her chin. Cole worked the back lot with Hunter on the fence. Bo napped. The bell over the door chimed every 6 minutes for 10 hours. At 3 in the afternoon, a wagon pulled up in front of the bakery. The man on the seat was big, bigger than Silas, broader, grayer. He climbed down with the deliberation of a man who has not climbed down off anything in a hurry in 20 years. He came to the door. He took off his hat at the threshold. The bell chimed. "Miss Hart." Lily turned. She went still. "Mr. Dunn?" "Mrs. Hart." "Mrs. Forgive me. Old habit." "Mr. Magnus Dunn." "Yes, ma'am. I have come a day early." Hunter had heard the bell from the back lot. He came through the kitchen with the hammer still in his hand. He saw the man. He set the hammer on the table. He came into the front of the shop. "Sir?" "Mr. Hawk. You know my name. I have spent the better part of yesterday and this morning learning your name, sir. From my brother, from his attorney, from the marshal, from the pastor of the church across this street." Hunter said nothing. Magnus Dunn turned his hat slowly in his hands. "Mrs. Hart. Mr. Dunn. I have come to apologize." The shop went quiet. Lily set down the wooden spoon she had been holding. "To apologize." "Yes, ma'am. For the conduct of my brother. For 3 years of conduct. For the doubling of the note in May, which was done over my signature in absentia and without my knowledge. For the call of the note on Sunday, which was done over the bank's seal in my brother's hand without authorization of the trustees. For the $4 to Mr. Hawking. For the firearm. For all of it, ma'am, and for whatever else may yet come to light. Mr. Dunn, and to inform you, ma'am, that as of 9 o'clock this morning, my brother has been removed from his position as trustee of the Sweetwater Junction branch, and the bank has voided the call of your note. Your mortgage is restored to its original terms. The $142 Mr. Hawk paid yesterday will be returned to him by Friday, less the $18 due." Lily put both hands flat on the counter. "Mr. Dunn." "Ma'am, you did not have to come yourself." "Ma'am, I did. There is a thing my brother has done in this town for 3 years, and he did it under our family name, and our family name is what is on the door of this bank, and I will not have that name remembered in this town for what he has made it. I have come myself, ma'am, because you are owed it. From me. In person. With my hat in my hand." Lily's eyes filled. She did not let them spill. "Mr. Dunn, I accept your apology." "Ma'am, and I will tell you something else. Ma'am, my husband always said your brother was a small man trying to live in a big man's coat. I never believed him. I thought my husband was being uncharitable. He was not." "No, ma'am, he was not." "Mr. Dunn." "Ma'am." "There is bread fresh in the back. Will you take a loaf?" "Ma'am, I cannot." "You will take a loaf, Mr. Dunn, as a gift, from the woman whose mortgage your family near took, to carry to your wife. You will tell her where it come from, and every time she eats it, you will both remember." Magnus Dunn looked at her. He looked at her a long time. "Mrs. Hart." "Mr. Dunn." "Yes, ma'am. I will take the loaf." She wrapped it. She handed it to him. He set a silver dollar on the counter. She tried to push it back. "Ma'am, please, allow me at least this." She let it sit. He turned to Hunter at the door. "Mr. Hawk." "Sir." "My brother told me a thing about you on the way to the jailhouse last night." "Sir?" "He said you were the most dangerous man he had ever met." "He flatters me." "He does not flatter Mr. Hawk. He never has. Good day to you, sir." He went. The bell chimed. The wagon rolled. Lily Hart sat down on the stool behind the counter. She did not cry. She put her hand over her mouth and breathed once hard, and lifted her hand and breathed once more. Hunter came around the counter. He did not touch her. He stood at her elbow. Lily. Hunter. It is over. It is not. Most of it is. Most of it, yes. What is left? She looked up at him. What is left? Hunter Hawk is the part I did not know how to talk about while the rest of it was still going on. Yes, ma'am. And I do not yet know how to talk about it, sir. You do not have to tonight. No. But you will. Some night. Yes. Lily. Yes. Whenever it is, I will be on the other end of the table, with coffee. She laughed. It was the second time he had heard her laugh, and it came easier than the first, and it broke something loose in the room. Sissy poked her head around the kitchen doorway, flour to her elbows. Miss Lily. Yes, baby. The next batch is risen. Then we'll bake it, sweet girl. Come on. She rose. She went to the kitchen. Hunter stood in the empty front of the shop a moment alone and looked at the silver dollar on the counter where Magnus Dunn had set it down. He looked at the empty bread shelf. He looked at the bell over the door still rocking gentle from the last man who had walked under it. He took his hat off. He held it in both hands. He bowed his head just once in the empty shop, with no one to see him do it. Then he put the hat back on, and he went into the kitchen, and he picked up his hammer off the table, and he went out to the back lot to finish the fence. Cole was there waiting for him with 2 more posts already dug. Uncle. Son? It's near done. Yes, son. It is near done. The boy looked up at him. Uncle. Yes. Are we stayin'? Hunter Hawk set his hand on the back of his nephew's neck. He held it there a long count. Yes, son. For how long? For good. Burl Hawking came on Wednesday morning with his hat in his hand and his lips still split. The bell over the door chimed. Lily looked up from the dough. Mr. Hawking. Mrs. Hart. You come to buy bread? No, ma'am. I come to say what I said I would say. Hunter was at the back doorway with his sleeves rolled. He did not come forward. He let the man stand in the front of the shop alone the way a man ought to stand when he is saying what Burl had come to say. Mr. Hawking. Mrs. Hart, I called you a name on Monday in front of these children. I called the boy a name I will not put into this room a second time. I took $4 from a man to do it. I would have taken the $4 to do worse. I am ashamed of every part of that, ma'am, and I have come to say so. I will not ask your forgiveness because I have not earned it. I have come to say only that I was wrong, and to tell the children I was wrong. Sissy stood up from the table. She walked over to Burl Hawking on her bare feet with flour on her chin. She looked up at him. Mister? Yes, miss. Did you mean what you said about Miss Lily? No, miss. Then why did you say it? Because I needed the $4, miss, and because I am not a brave man. Sissy considered that with the gravity of an 8-year-old who had buried her mother. My uncle says brave is something you get to be tomorrow even if you was not yesterday. Burl Hawking's eyes went bright. Yes, miss, I expect that is so. Then you can be brave tomorrow, mister. Yes, miss. Good day. She walked back to her flour. Burl Hawking stood there a count of 3 with his eyes on the floor of the bakery. He set his hat on his head. He went out. The bell chimed. Lily said low, Lord. Hunter said, She is your daughter Lily, whatever else she is. Lily turned her face into her shoulder for one breath and turned back. By Friday, the circuited judge in Carson Springs had heard the matter. Silas Dunn drew 6 months for the firearm and a year for the conspiracy, and the bank quietly settled with Lily for $40 in damages on the doubled note, which Magnus Dunn delivered himself in cash on Saturday morning, with another silver dollar for another loaf and a letter from his wife, thanking Lily for the first one. Hunter's 142 came back. He paid Jeremiah Bell 65 of it on the same horse he had ridden up there. He paid Otto Voss 11. He bought his rifle back from Old Man Crane for 20 and the saddle for the bay he hadn't sold yet, and he stood in the livery with the rifle across his arm, and Crane said, Mr. Hawk. Sir? You ain't carrying that for trouble. No, sir, I am carrying it for huntin'. For huntin'. Got 4 mouths, Mr. Crane, and maybe more. Maybe more. Maybe. Crane smiled the slow smile of a man who had been married 41 years. Mr. Hawk. Sir? You go on home now. He went on home. By the second week, the bakery had a hired girl. Her name was Annie Pickering, and she was the niece of the woman who had cut Lily off her custom and come back at double, and she was 16 years old with red hair, and the kind of laugh that comes out of a girl whose whole life has been kind to her. She came at 6 and worked till noon, and Lily paid her 75 cents a day, and the children loved her in 3 days flat. Cole did not love her. Cole loved no one but his uncle and his sisters and his brother and Lily Hart, and he was not in the business of expanding his list. But on the 4th day, Cole brought Annie a tin cup of water unasked, and Lily caught Hunter's eye across the kitchen and lifted one eyebrow, and Hunter shook his head once, almost smiling, and went back out to the fence. The fence was finished on a Thursday. He came inside that evening with sawdust in his hair, and laid the hammer in the box where the hammers belonged for the first time in 3 weeks. Miss Lily. Mr. Hawk. It is done. The fence. The fence. She wiped her hands. She walked out the back door without a word. He followed her. She stood at the corner of the lot with her hands on her hips, and she walked the line of it post by post, and she stopped at the gate he had hung last, and she set her hand on it and pushed it open and let it swing shut. Hunter. Ma'am? It is square. Yes, ma'am. It is square the way my husband would have built it. Yes, ma'am. He used to say a fence that ain't square is a man's word that ain't kept. He sounds like a man I would have liked, Lily. He would have liked you. She did not turn around. Hunter. Yes. There is a thing I said I would tell you on a night when there was coffee. There is coffee on the stove, ma'am. Yes. You want to tell it tonight? Yes. They went inside. The children were on the pallets. Bo was already asleep. Pearl was singing under her breath. Sissy was reading aloud to her from the Bible Lily had given her, slow working at the words. Cole sat on the back step with a knife and a piece of pine, whittling something he would not show anybody yet. Lily poured 2 cups. She sat at the long table. He sat across from her. Hunter. Lily. My boy. Yes. He died on the 2nd of August. Yes. 2 years ago this comin' Tuesday. He set his cup down. Lily. My husband died on the 5th, 3 days later. Same fever. They went together, Hunter. The whole house went together. There was a week when the whole house was sick, and only me on my feet, and I did not sleep that week, I do not think, and at the end of it, there was just me and the bakery, and the back lot, and the lean-in fence. Lily. You walked into this town, Hunter Hawk, on the 28th of July. He went still. 5 days before. 5 days before, sir. Lily. I did not say a word about it because I did not know how, and I did not say a word about it because I thought you would think I was putting a thing on you that was not yours to carry. But you are sitting in this kitchen tonight with a fence built and 4 children on pallets and a hand on a coffee cup, and I am going to say it, sir, because I will not have Tuesday come and go with you not knowing. Lily. Yes. On Tuesday. Yes. I will sit at this table with you. From sunup. And I will not move from it unless you ask me to. She put her hand over her mouth. She did not let her eyes spill. Hunter. Yes. Thank you. Lily. Yes. My Mary died on the 11th of November. James went on the 12th. Ruth went on the 13th. I sat the floor of that room 3 days, Lily. I have not sat anywhere I did not have to since. Hunter. On the 11th of November. Yes. You will sit at this table with me, from sundown, and I will not move from it unless you ask me to. She reached across the table. She set her hand on his. He turned his hand and took hers, and they sat that way, 2 grown people in a kitchen with 4 children on pallets behind them, and they did not speak for a long count, and they did not need to. Tuesday the 2nd came. Hunter sat at the table. He sat from sunup. She did not ask him to move. She baked through it. She fed the children through it. At noon, she came and sat across from him for an hour without a word, and he poured her water, and she drank it, and she went back to the oven. At 3 in the afternoon, she came out into the yard where he had moved at last to split kindling, and she said, "Hunter." "Lily." "It is the first one I have got through standin' up." "Yes, ma'am?" "I did not get through it standin' up alone." "No, ma'am. You did not get through it alone." "Hunter." "Lily. Is there a thing you wish to ask me?" He set the axe down. He took his hat off. He held it in both hands. Lily Hart. "Yes." "I am a tired man." "Yes." "And I have got 4 children that ain't mine in the eyes of any law in this country." "Yes." "And I ain't got money." "Yes." "And I have walked a long road." "Yes." "Lily." "Yes." "Will you marry a tired man with 4 children that ain't his, and no money and a long road behind him, and likely some road yet to come?" "Yes, Hunter Hawk." "Just like that." "Just like that." "Lily." "Hunter, I have been waitin' on you to ask me since the day you set the first post in that fence. You took your time." He laughed. He laughed the laugh of a man who has not laughed in a long while, and it came out of him the way Lily's first laugh had come out of her, like a thing turning over after a long stillness. "Lily Hart." "Hunter Hawk." "When?" "Sunday." "This Sunday." "This Sunday. In Pastor Doolan's church, with those 4 children in the front pew." "Lily?" "And the whole town behind 'em." "Lily, the whole town will not come." "The whole town will come, Hunter. Otto will see to it. So will Mrs. Pickering." "Lily." "Yes." "I do not have a suit." "Mr. Voss has a brother who is a tailor in Carson Springs. I have already wrote him." "You have already wrote him." "On Monday, Hunter." "On Monday." "On Monday, I knew, sir." He pulled her against his chest. He pulled her gentle the way a man pulls a woman against his chest, who he has been holding at the length of a coffee cup for 3 weeks. She set her forehead against his collarbone. He set his cheek on her hair. They stood that way in the back lot of a bakery in a town that had tried to break them both, and they did not speak, because there was nothing left in either of them that needed speaking yet. Sissy came around the corner of the shed. She stopped. She put both hands over her mouth. She turned around very slowly and went back into the kitchen. Inside, Lily heard her say, "Cole, Cole, come quick." Quiet, though. The wedding was on Sunday. Pastor Doolan married them in front of a church so full there were folks standing in the back and folks on the steps. Otto Voss stood up with Hunter. Mrs. Pickering stood up with Lily. Magnus Dunn sat in the 3rd pew with his wife, who held the bread Lily had wrapped that morning on her knee. Sissy carried the ring. Cole walked his uncle to the altar. Pearl held Lily's left hand, and Bo slept against Hunter's right shoulder for half the ceremony, and woke in time to clap when his uncle kissed his new aunt, and the church laughed, and the laugh broke the last of whatever had been clenched in the chest of Sweetwater Junction for 2 years and 4 months. Old Man Crane had quietly let Hunter take the bay back 2 days before, and he had refused the 20 for the rifle and the 40 for the saddle. And when Hunter had tried to argue, Crane had said, "Mr. Hawk." "Sir?" "My wife has not stopped going to that bakery since." "Sir, that ain't." "And she has not cried at a kitchen table since." "Mr. Crane, you go on home, son, with your horse and your saddle and your rifle. Tell that woman the livery is in her custom for the rest of my life. Go." He had gone. He had walked out of the livery a free man for the first time in 11 years, and had not known until he was halfway down the street that the thing in his chest that had been clenched since November of '74 had let go. He had stood on the boardwalk and put his hand on a hitching post and breathed out. A boy had run past with a hoop and a stick. A woman had nodded to him on the boards. Otto Voss had called from across the street, "Mr. Hawk." My wife says supper Sunday after the weddin'. Tell her yes, sir. She has already cooked it, Mr. Hawk. She did not need the answer. She needed to tell you. He had laughed. He had laughed, standing on a boardwalk with his hand on a post, and a woman across the street had laughed back. And he had walked the rest of the way to the bakery, a man who had been let finally to put a thing down. After the wedding, the town came back to the bakery in a procession. Mrs. Voss brought ham. Mrs. Pickering brought peach pies. Old Crane's wife brought a quilt she had been making for 2 months for a wedding she had not yet known would come. Annie Pickering set the long table out into the back lot where the fence stood square, and the children of Sweetwater Junction came with their mothers and stood in a knot around Sissy and Pearl and Bo and Cole, and a girl of about 12 took Pearl's hand and said, "You want to see the swallow's nest in the schoolhouse rafters?" "Yes." "Come on." They went. Cole did not run with the boys. Cole sat at the end of the long table next to his uncle, and a boy of about 10 came up and stood in front of him and said, "You coming to school in the fall?" "Yes." "You can sit by me, if you want." Cole looked at the boy. Cole looked at his uncle. Hunter did not say a word. Cole said, "Yes." The boy ran off. Cole sat very still for a count of 10. Then he said low, "Uncle." "Yes." "He asked me." "He did." "He asked me first, uncle." "He did, son." The boy bent his head. Hunter set his hand on the back of his nephew's neck and let it stay there. It was Lily who stood up near the end and tapped her glass with her fork. The yard went quiet. Lily Hart-Hawk set her glass down. She set her hands on the back of her chair. "Friends." "Yes, Miss Lily." "Mrs. Hawk now." A laugh. "Friends, I will not make a long speech. I have not got the breath for it tonight, but I will say this. There is a man at this table who walked into this town 5 weeks ago with 4 children and a wagon and a rifle and not one friend in this county, and there is a town at this table tonight that did not at first deserve him." A silence. "I will not pretend it did. I will not pretend any of us did. There is some at this table tonight who turned their faces away from those children on a street in the heat of July, and we all know who we are and the Lord knows, and it does not need to be said again. What needs to be said is this: that man stayed. He stayed when the bread shelf was empty. He stayed when the stones flew. He stayed when a man drew a gun on him in a hall. He stayed because he had said he would to 4 children and to 1 widow. And Hunter Hawk has not in his life broken a word once given, and he did not break it here. And so this town is going to do right by him and by those children for the rest of his days, and the rest of theirs, and the rest of mine. Because that is what O means." She lifted her glass. "To Hunter Hawk." The yard came up off its benches. "To Hunter Hawk." "To the Hawks." "To the Hawks." Hunter rose. He set his glass on the table. He took off his hat. He looked at the faces around that long table, and the children at the foot of it, and the woman at the head of it, who was now his wife. "Friends." "Yes, Mr. Hawk." "I am a man of few words, and I have used most of mine this summer." A laugh. "I will say only this. I came into this town with nothing but 4 children, and I have learned in 5 weeks that a man with 4 children has not got nothing. He has got everything. And a man with 4 children and a wife has got more than any man has got a right to. And a man with 4 children and a wife and a town that in the end opened a door to him." He stopped. He looked at the table. He took a breath. "That man is going to stand here, friends, and tell you the plain truth, which is that I am going nowhere. Not from this lot, not from this town, not from this woman or these children. I am done ridin'. I am done driftin'. I am done sleepin' under any roof but the one that is over my head right now. I have come to the end of my road, friends, and I have found that the end of it is here, and I am not leavin' it. Not for any man, not for any reason, not in this life." He set his hat back on his head. He sat down. The yard was very quiet for a count of 3. Then Otto Voss stood up at his place and said in his thick voice that had never spoken so loud in that town in all the years he had lived in it, "Then you are home, Mr. Hawk. Then you are home. You are home, Hunter Hawk." The yard came up. Hunter did not stand. He took his wife's hand under the table. He held it. He did not let it go. 3 years later, when a stranger rode into Sweetwater Junction off the South Road on a hot Tuesday and stopped at a bakery on Main Street to ask the way to the next water, the woman behind the counter cut him a slice of bread with butter on it before she answered, and a girl of 11 with flour to her elbows brought him a cup of cold milk, and a boy of 11 with a knife in his belt fetched water for his horse without being asked, and a smaller girl and a smaller boy showed him where the trough was and where the shade was, and a tall man with gray, starting at his temples, came out of the back lot with sawdust on his sleeves and said, "Mister, you are welcome to sit till the heat breaks." The stranger sat. He ate the bread. He drank the milk. He looked at the 4 children and the woman and the man, and he said, "You folks been here long?" The tall man looked at his wife. His wife looked back. She smiled. He turned to the stranger. He set his hat on the table beside the buttermilk cup. "Mister, we have been here forever, and we will be here forever. That is the only answer that is true." And it was true. It stayed true. It is true still.